Hi, and welcome to the first of a series of 5 to 10-minute webinars that are designed to help teachers make their classes more dynamic and move into student-centered teaching. At the end of each of these webinars, I'm going to present a scaffolding technique that you can find in this book that I just published, 101 Scaffolding Techniques for Language Teaching and Learning. It's also just been published in Spanish. So I'm going to share some ideas on how scaffolding helps students transition in new materials that I've presented in workshops in Finland and Mexico and Brazil and here in Spain where I'm based. So today we're going to talk about the physical environment and how that helps students focus in a student-centered environment. The objective for this session, and it's always very important to share our objectives with our students and even to co-create so that they feel more empowered. It's rethinking the physical environment for a student-centered methodology. Now, why do you think I have a picture of a horse here? And what are these calls that the horse has on its head? These are called blinders, and it means that the horse can't look right or left, can't look behind. There's probably someone whipping the poor thing behind so that he goes as fast as the person behind wants him to go and not how fast he wants to go. And then you may ask, it's a little dramatic, but then why do I have a student next to him? And this poor boy is like many of our students. Can't look right or left. He doesn't have permission to speak with the classmates unless we give them permission. It goes at our pace, and what we need to do is let our students learn their own rhythm. Each one of us has our own rhythm for learning, and so we need to honor that in our students as well. This is a model that's been around for 100 years, and it started, you may think, in the Industrial Revolution. It actually began before that with the Prussian king, who wanted all of his citizens to obey him, and his counselors decided that the easiest way he could do that was to begin by educating the students that way. They had their teachers, who were the mini king and queens, and the students had to ask permission to either speak or move. They did the same things day after day, and they learned to obey their king. But the problem is, we're still doing it today, and we're probably not training future factory workers. We want our students to be factory workers if that's what they want, but to have different options as well. And it's called the cells and bells theory. The classroom can be considered a cell unless we make it more fun. And when the bell rings, the students either change their task or they change their classroom. So we want to change this. Again, it was reinforced in the Industrial Revolution. Owners of factories realized that the best way to have perfect factory workers was to train the students in school, to do routines all day long, and then they were perfectly adept to doing factory work later on. We want our students to have more options again. So this is a great quote by David Warlick. The worst case scenario is that in 10 years from now, we're still graduating kids who are perfectly prepared for the 1950s, and we can even go 100 years before then. It's exactly what we're doing now. We're standing in front of the classroom talking at our students all day long. Just because we ask them a few questions doesn't mean that we're making them excited about learning. There's a great architect named Rakesh Nair who designed the traditional school, rectangular buildings, rectangular classrooms, designed for single desks for students. And he finally realized that this was not necessary. And he said classrooms need to be welcoming, versatile, and send positive messages about activity and behavior. And so he began designing schools that were full of color and that were comfortable for students. And it seems like a radical idea, but the truth is we want to be in nice environments, so why wouldn't our students? And why won't they learn more deeply in an emotionally intelligent atmosphere where they can feel comfortable? So you see here some of Rakesh Nair's rooms. Now, if we don't have the money for this, then we can always look for sofas. Our students can lie on pillows on the floor. They don't need to be sitting at a desk to be learning. Again, we can put our desks in a U shape, but I've been in a lot of classrooms where the teachers have their desks in U shapes, and they're still teaching traditionally. The same with group settings. If the students are in groups, that's wonderful as long as we give them group work and not talk to them all day long. You can also put tennis balls under chairs, and that helps a lot reduce the noise and helps students feel comfortable. So that's our physical environment section, and now I'm going to share one scaffolding tip for you. Again, you can find them in either the English or the Spanish edition. You can find them at amazon.es or amazon.com or in my Facebook page that you'll see at the end. And this scaffolding technique is called brainwriting. Now, a lot of times people like to do mind mapping. They call on students and say, "What do you know about volcanoes?" Now, who will answer? The same students always answer, and the same students are always silent. What we want to do is get the silent ones to be working and feel comfortable as well to share information. So brainwriting is the following. Here is a sample of some ideas from a typical textbook, and this is from an Oxford textbook because I do work for Oxford. I'm very proud to do that. And we have grammar here, and we have vocabulary, and then key phrases. So how can we scaffold these pages? Brainwriting is what we do. We write four sentences on the wall, on the blackboard. It could be past habits. These all come from these sections from the textbook. We're going to use I used to, I didn't used to. Another student writes down on a piece of paper past simple versus past continuous. Another student in the group writes down the following. These are vocabulary words from the text, and then some specific phrases that they got from the textbook as well. How does this work? Well, you give a signal, and the students have 1 minute to write anything they know about the topic they have in their heading. So you have 4 people in a group, and each person has one of these headings. All right? So they have 1 minute to write on them. Then you give the signal again after the minute is up, and they pass their papers to the person on the left. After that, they continue writing on the new topic for 1 more minute. You continue this process until all the students have added comments on each page of the paper. Then, to make it a little more deep, the learning goes even deeper. In their groups, the students take turns reading the information on a piece of paper that they've ended up with. And it's probably the same one that they started with. And they agree on a 1 to 2 sentence summary of each. The reporters will share the summary with the whole class. Now, why is this important? Because in brainwriting, you're not going to know who wrote what necessarily, and so the students feel more confident that they can think and also read what their classmates have written, and it will jog their own memory about subjects, and it's a very effective way of scaffolding information. And then you ask them to go into their textbooks and begin with the exercises. So now what I'd love is for you to give me some feedback at the Facebook page that I have on the last slide. So if you want to, I encourage you to please send some feedback and comments at facebook.com, Giving a Helping Hand book. And I thank you so much for joining me today.